All right, guys, we're going to dive in fast and hard to talk about what the deal is with Instagram. How do we crush Instagram with all of the changes that have happened to this platform? We're going to talk about every single aspect of Instagram growth, what it takes to grow, a real, honest, candid look at the truth behind successful Instagrams, as well as just everything you need to know about Instagram. So let's dive on in. There are several different formats for content. I hope you have a notebook ready. If not, pause this right now because we're going to go hard and fast. So there is, of course, IG Reels, and recently Instagram shared that they are going to be deprioritizing photos and focusing more on videos. So if you are in a region where there are not IG Reels, don't stress, but just keep in mind that IG Reels are going to be one of the best and fastest ways in order for you to grow, increase engagement, reach more people, get more qualified leads. IG Reels are by far one of the best and strongest cases I've seen for growth on Instagram so far. Number two, if you don't have IG Reels available, would be IGTV. Of course, this does have a little bit of a dated feel, and it does not get as great of results as IG Reels. But basically, if you can't access IG Reels for yourself or for a client, IGTV is a good way to go about it. You're going to need to download the app for IGTV. IG Reels versus you can go ahead and create those just straight in the app, or create your videos as TikToks first. Use snaptik.app on desktop to pull the watermarks off of those videos, and then for the most part upload those straight to Instagram. Number three is going to be photos, but these are going to be deprioritized quite a bit. So what I highly recommend, I'm going to give you guys several pieces of advice that are, I think, really helpful. Number one, make sure your content is shareable, meaning content that people actually care about and want to share. One of the ways to do this is to make it less about you, less about the brand, and more about understanding the client's customers, followers. So if you understand what makes them laugh, what makes them cry, what makes them angry, what makes them want to say something, that is how you're going to know what type of content is shareable and is very it creates an emotional experience for the person who is potentially going to follow you. The next big thing that I want to share is carousels. Now, we've been doing carousels a little bit differently lately, where if I'm going to share photos of me or my life, we are putting a quote that relates to the caption as the first slide in a carousel. Essentially, a carousel is anytime you've seen a series of photos where you can flick through them and see a bunch of different photos, we are turning the first image in any carousel slide into something that is shareable, a quote, an image that inspires, a meme, something like that. And it has made a big difference in terms of our shareability of regular content. The next big thing I want to share with you is hashtags. Now, hashtags, there is quite a bit of speculation. I've actually been testing out the less hashtag kind of rules that people are sharing. And so far, we have not seen any real, I would say, consistent reach that is higher than our normal reach, but I will do more and more testing of this. I think the best answer I can give you as to whether you want to use 8, 12, 15, 5, 30 hashtags up to 30 is that you're going to need to test for every single account. So what I recommend is spending a couple days up to a week testing 8 hashtags on all of your content, and then testing 12, and then testing 30, and then testing 5. Find what works best for the accounts that you manage, but there isn't necessarily going to be a one-size-fits-all. That's even come out as these rumors have been flying, and then as Instagram kind of confirmed that they think it's 8 to 15 to not confuse the algorithm. Number 3 is captions, and sometimes people think that your caption is what determines whether or not you gain followers. Yes and no, not really. You can do long form caption, meaning telling stories, lots of text, lots of advice. You can do short form captions. My personal favorite is to create variety. So let people kind of never guess exactly what they're going to get. But there's one thing that I do consistently in every single caption that I create, and that is I ask some type of question. So on Instagram specifically, I am always asking questions like, what do you think about this? Comment below if you agree. Tag a friend who needs to hear this. Is there anything you would add to this list? Ask as many questions as you can across all of your different captions so that people are answering. And yes, I know what you're thinking. Should I ask questions before people answer? Yes, ask them super confidently. Pretend like there's a massive audience already there. Now let's get into point 4, which is frequency. Okay, so I'm going to say this once and be super clear. Consistency is more important than frequency, meaning picking a realistic posting schedule for yourself, for your clients, is going to be more important than shooting for big growth and then disappearing for months because you're burnt out. I highly recommend picking a realistic posting schedule. So if you want to get into a realistic posting schedule, that would be considered like maintenance with maybe a little bit of growth. Shoot for 3 to 5 times a week, but be clear that is not growth mode. So 3 to 5 pieces of content per week, whether it's a combination of reels and carousels or IGTV and photos, it doesn't matter how you break that all down. But if you're going to go into growth mode, follow this next set of advice. We sat down the other day and actually analyzed the behind the scenes insights into most of the major IG experts that you can find on YouTube. And we started to analyze and discovered only a few of those IG experts, thankfully I am one of them, have consistent growth on Instagram. And what most of them have in common, actually all of the ones who are growing have in common, is that they are posting consistently. So they're posting at least 3 to 5 times per week. But here was kind of the commonality behind the scenes of accounts experiencing major growth. They were all in major growth mode. They were posting upwards of 3, 5, even 10 times per day. So if you want to grow your accounts or your clients' accounts on Instagram, you're going to want to post 3 to 5 times per day. 10 is a lot. 10 is, for most people, not going to make sense. But 10 is where you start to see that growth of insane numbers. I'm talking like 2,000 plus per day happening every single day. But that's not for most people. I wouldn't recommend that for most accounts. But in general, the more that you post, the more you're going to see growth mode. And then here's one more caveat. If the majority of your posts are IG Reels, the thing that stands out about those, especially with this news from Instagram that they're deprioritizing photos and focusing on video, the big thing that you want to keep in mind is that IG Reels have a longer lifespan, meaning once they're posted, they don't just have a few hours to get engagement and gain followers. Instead, they are going to have a longer shelf life of several days, weeks, or even months. We've seen some of our content performing for months on Instagram, which we haven't seen before to this extent, which is kind of exciting. Next big thing I want to share with you is that the only way to grow followers is to post content, create content, and post content. So one of the things people watch a lot of times is the behind the scenes numbers. So they'll post something and then they panic when they lose a bunch of followers, and then they instantly say, I can't keep doing this. I can't keep posting content because I lose followers every time I post. True. That is perfectly natural. That is perfectly normal. Every single big account loses followers when they post initially. But it is only through creating and posting content that new followers can find you. So while the initial couple of minutes or hours show a decrease in followers, people who unfollowed, you want to watch and see what growth occurs over the next couple of hours, days, weeks, or even months if you are creating reels. Number 5 is comment response. 10 out of 10, I recommend responding to all of the comments on posts if you typically get less than 10 comments on a post. Do your best to respond to all those comments. If you only have an early squad who comes in and it's just a couple of comments, respond to your early squad within the first minute of posting your content, especially if you have a highly engaged Instagram that you're working with. Respond to comments as much as you can. I know it's not always possible at scale, but even just replying to some of those comments shows like, hey, I'm here. There's an actual person behind the scenes making everything happen. Comment response is pretty important because nobody likes to leave comments that are ignored, especially when they look and see that all the comments have been ignored. So as much as possible, respond to comments, but especially that early squad and those first people who comment on your content. Number 6, now keep in mind, this has nothing to do with growth. IG stories are a really powerful way to stay at the top of people's minds. I recommend, generally speaking, just creating as many as you can per day, but Instagram stories alone are not going to bring you followers. They don't in any way. Well, sometimes people may like send it to someone else or whatever. It's just not going to get you any real growth, but it's a great way to build a relationship behind the scenes. So if you can, shoot for 3, 5, maybe 10 IG stories per day just throughout the day. Drinking water. Here's what my latest project is. Check this out. Do you like this one or this one better? Try to get into the practice of asking questions every time like you grab a drink of coffee or take a bite of food, which brings us to number 7. And I shared this already, but I'm going to share it again. Make content that is shareable. This content does not need to take you long to create. I personally use Canva, and then I have one other hack that I learned from Kat Abianic, and it's a life changer. If you go into stories and then you click create, you're going to see the ability to create quotes here. So I learned that if you use either the black or the white background, you can use white writing or black writing, depending on what the opposite is, to create a quote right here. And then once you write the quote, so we'll put quote, I can go ahead and screenshot that. Let's go ahead and screenshot that. And now I can use that quote by uploading it as a post. So it's a powerful way to quickly on the go create quotes that are super shareable. Number 8, if you are running IG for yourself, I recommend 10 out of 10 that you learn TikTok so that your TikTok videos can now become a 2-for-1 purpose on Instagram Reels, or vice versa if you're more comfortable with that workflow. I prefer the TikTok to IG Reels flow. I think it's very simple. I think it's fun, and especially because Instagram's Reels culture is really a stolen culture from TikTok. They're basically taking all of the TikTok trends and dances and trying to make it their own. I highly recommend learning TikTok first and foremost so that you understand what the trends are on your IG Reels. Now, if you're running IG Reels and or IG for your clients, I recommend learning how to teach them how to film TikToks that you can use on IG Reels as well. I know that this is going to serve you guys. If you follow every step in here, I am willing to bet that you are going to experience a lot more success on Instagram than if you're trying to just create beautiful photos. One more thing that I'm going to share that's up for debate, so I didn't want to add this on in, so you can decide what to do with this, but you really and truly can use hashtags either in the caption of your post or your Reels. On Reels, so far, to the best of my testing, it has to be in the caption. On posts, you can do it in the first comment within seconds after the post is going live, and both will work. I personally prefer it in the first comment because I think it just looks a lot nicer, it flows better, and people can scroll down faster to engage and leave comments without seeing the behind the scenes of all of your hashtags unless they're looking for it. But Reels, they have to be in the caption unless I discover some new research that says, okay, cool, this is able to be put into the first comment. And then one more thing, I like to use flick.tech, Flick, F-L-I-C-K .tech, in order to find niched down hashtags. Niche your hashtags down. Use low, maybe medium competition hashtags unless you have a massive account that you're running Instagram for. I'll catch you guys later. Bye for now.